has a mind of fanatic. Melanie's mind so great you can't have it. Melanie's mind, the mind of fanatic. Melanie's mind's the great, you can't have it.
Hey y'all, it's been 2 months since I've last posted a video. I'm in a new apartment actually. I know you can't really tell, but I literally am in a whole new setup. That's how long I've been gone. I'm really sorry, but you know what? I'm coming in at the right time. It's Spooktober, so here I am, first week of October, with a good case for you guys, a good video. This case is a case that when I first heard about it, I couldn't believe it because it sounded so much just like a movie, like something that wouldn't happen in real life, but more so like just like a twisted movie plot. And if you want to kind of see a movie that's really messed up this month of October, I would recommend that you watch the movie The House Jack Built. It's on Hulu, I'm pretty sure. And watching that movie reminded me of this case and made me want to talk about this case because there's a scene in the movie, and if you've watched it, it's the picnic scene. That scene in the movie, I feel like depicts really well what this serial killer was all about and kind of what this serial killer did. And before I get started, I just want to say that my sources will be linked down below, but also that I hope everyone's doing really well. I'm kind of just jumping into this because I've been gone for a while. I don't really know what to say in the beginning other than, you know, hope all is well. I really appreciate the people that are still here, subscribed to me, and watching my videos, even though I've been absent for 2 months, but, you know, I still really love true crime. I'm still really involved in this channel. I've just needed a little break. But you know what? I'm coming back. And I'm coming back strong because I'm more motivated than ever now. But I just need a little break. A little, you know, getting my apartment together. And then I'm also in school again. I'm going to school to be an esthetician. So I've been focusing on that. And, you know, life gets in the way. I was caught up. But I am here again. And the case I'm going to be talking to you guys about is the Alaskan human hunter. I put my hair up so you know I meant business, but yes, you heard that right, the Alaskan human hunter. And so we're going to be talking about Robert Hansen, and he's also known as the Butcher Baker. So for those of you who don't know, Robert Hansen was an active serial killer from 1971 to 1983. What Hansen liked to do was that he would abduct women, he would take them to his remote cabin and set them free, and then he would hunt them down. Like, doesn't that just sound insane to you? He would literally treat them as if he were hunting down an animal, like hunting down a deer. He would let them go and then he would track them, sometimes even for days, just to kind of torture them a little bit and play mind games with them. And then he would shoot and kill them when they were least expecting it. Like, truly, that is so twisted to even think about. Like, the mind games that he was playing with these women. When they thought they were safe, he was hiding in the bushes, like one step ahead of them. And that is just a nightmare. I can't fathom it. Like, it sounds something straight out of a horror movie. I just realized my camera was not in focus, so if the quality was really bad up until this point, I'm really sorry, because I don't want to record that again. So, hello. Welcome to the good quality. I'm just gonna start getting into Robert Hansen's early life, you know, why he became this super messed up person. So Hansen was born in 1939 in Esterville, Iowa. He was the son of a Danish immigrant and he followed in his father's footsteps as a baker. In Hansen's youth, he was painfully shy, he had really bad acne, and he had a bad stutter. Because of all these things, and especially the stutter, he didn't really have much luck with women, and because he wasn't your stereotypical hot boy, he grew up to hate girls because they wouldn't really give him the time of day. And he would describe having fantasies of getting revenge on all the girls that rejected him, or just girls in general because they didn't like him. Also, his relationship with his dad was not very great. His dad was a powerhead and really wanted control. And on top of that, Hansen was a loner. So he spent most of his time alone, and he spent it hunting, learning how to hunt and teaching himself like archery and all that kinds of stuff. And once he was old enough in 1957, he enlisted in the army. And honestly, that is something I see in a lot of serial killers. Like, I'm not saying that every serial killer goes to the army, but I see that It's a pattern. A lot of serial killers have that in their background of, wanting to be in the military or being in the military. So Hansen got married for the first time in 1960, and the same year that he got married, he got arrested for burning down a school bus garage. And he said he did this to get revenge for his unpopularity in high school. He served less than 2 years for that incident, and during that time, he was diagnosed with bipolar disorder with periodic schizophrenic episodes. Psychiatrists noted that Hansen had a childlike personality and he was obsessed with revenge. And also, while he was in jail, his wife divorced him. Once he was out of jail, he went to jail several more times for petty theft. But in 1967, he moved to Anchorage, Alaska with his second wife, and that's when the real horror took place. When he first moved to Alaska, he was well liked by all of his neighbors, and he was known for breaking a lot of the hunting records. But his true colors would appear in 1971 when he was arrested twice. The first time he was arrested, he got arrested for the abduction and rape of a housewife, and the second time he got arrested for raping a sex worker. For both of those attacks, he only served 5 years, and if that wasn't infuriating enough, after only 6 months in jail, he was placed in a work release program and placed in a halfway home. So investigators believe that Robert Hansen began killing around 1972, and his routine would be to pick up a sex worker, hold them at gunpoint, bring them to his secluded cabin, let them go, and then hunt them down, like a sick game. And he tried to do the same thing to 17-year-old sex worker Cindy Paulson. Cindy was approached to perform oral sex for $200, which she took. She accepted his offer, and as soon as she got into the car, Hansen held her at gunpoint. He took her to his house where he tortured her and raped her until he got tired. He fell asleep on a couch nearby, but Cindy couldn't even try to escape because he had chained her by the neck to a post in the basement. Once he woke up, he took Cindy to the Merrifield airport, and he was telling her how he was going to take her to his cabin, which was only accessible by boat or plane. That's how secluded it was. And while Hansen was loading the cockpit, Cindy saw the perfect opportunity for her to escape. She had her hands tied in front of her, and while he was looking the other way, she wiggled herself to the driver's side door and she made a run for it. Hansen panicked and ran after her, but she made it to the main road before he could. And she was able to flag down Robert Yount, who was a truck driver in the area. And he took Cindy to the nearest motel, which was called the Mush Inn, and she was begging the truck driver to take her to the Big Timber motel where her boyfriend would be at the time. When police arrived at the scene, they told the police that they would find Cindy at the Big Timber motel. And they got there and they found her alone and still handcuffed. They took her to the police department where she described her attacker, and she even told police that she had left her blue sneakers in the passenger side of the car just in case police didn't believe her. Her description of her attacker and the flight records from that airport led police to look at Hansen as the suspect. But when they questioned Hansen, he just denied, and he told police that Cindy was only trying to use him for extortion and was only trying to make him pay for her demands, which he wouldn't pay for. Even though Hansen had several run-ins with the law before, because he was scrawny and because he worked as a baker, he seemed harmless to the police. And on top of that, one of Hansen's friends gave him an alibi, so they had no reason to suspect Hansen as an actual suspect. And that led the investigation to go cold. And just a friendly reminder that, serial killers don't have a specific look. They are usually people that you don't expect, and that's why they get away with it for so long. So, your baker, your meek-looking baker, could be a serial killer. So during that time, Detective Glenn Flaw was part of the Alaskan State Troopers, and he was also part of this group that was investigating these bodies that kept being found around Alaska. The first body that they were investigating was a body that was found by construction workers near Eklutna Road, and they named her Eklutna Annie because her body was never identified. Later that same year, the body of Joanna Messina was discovered in a gravel pit near Seward. And in 1982, the remains of a 23-year-old Sherry Merrow were found in a shallow grave near the Nick River. Detective Floth had 3 bodies, and it looked like they all came from the same killer. With that knowledge, Floth contacted the FBI for some help, and they were able to create a criminal profile on their killer. Agent John Douglas of the FBI created this profile and thought that the killer would be an experienced hunter with low self-esteem, have a history of being rejected by women, that he would most likely take a souvenir from each victim, and he also suggested that the serial killer might have a stutter. And with that in mind, Floth looked through all the possible suspects until he reached Hansen, which fit everything perfectly. Detective Floss was able to get a warrant for Hansen's plane, vehicles, and his home. And on October 27, 1983, investigators found some of the jewelry belonging to some of the missing women, and they also found firearms hidden in Hansen's attic. On top of that, police had found a map hidden behind Hansen's headboard with X's on it, and later police would find that those X's would match some of the sites where they had actually found bodies. When confronted with this evidence, Hansen denied until finally he spoke up to blame the victims and to try to justify his actions. Eventually he admitted to committing a murder spree, and he said it started in 1971. His earliest victims were young women from ages 16 to 19, but Hansen is known for having raped and assaulted over 30 Alaskan women, murdering at least 17 of them, from ages 16 to 41. One of his victims was a 23-year-old woman, which he stripped naked, and he forced her to run through the forest while he hunted her. Hansen pleaded guilty to the 4 homicides that police had evidence for. And in return for serving his sentence in a federal prison, he would provide police with more information and more details on some of his victims. He confirmed to police that he would abduct women, and he would sometimes let them go if they convinced him enough that they wouldn't go and tell the police. He showed police 17 grave sites in south central of Alaska. He refused to give up some of the X's on the map, so only 12 of the probable 21 victims were able to be given back to their families. Robert Hansen was sentenced to 461 years plus life in prison by a jury, and he died on August 21st, 2014. And hopefully it was a painful one. And that's the case of the Alaskan human hunter. And if you're curious more about this case, I would suggest watching The Frozen Ground. It's supposed to be like a movie based on this, but also an FBI Files episode called Hunter's Game goes fully about this whole thing. So if you're interested in this, I would recommend watching those. I haven't watched them, but let me know if they're good. But also, thank you so much for, staying tuned if you stayed tuned this long. And I know that I was having some camera difficulties throughout the video of it, focusing or not focusing. So if you were able to look past that, I really appreciate you. And, I'll be trying to get more videos out Spooktober. I definitely want to, talk about some spooky stuff and, maybe do some more, scary movies inspired by serial killers or something like that. But I hope that everyone is having a great day, and stay positive. I don't know how to end this, just like I don't know how to begin this, but thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate y'all so much. If you want to leave a comment or leave a like or anything, it would mean the world. But until next time, peace.